Have you ever wondered why some men stay kind, loyal, emotionally available, and still get ignored? Why other men say less and do less, yet somehow become unforgettable? Why the harder you try to be good, the less powerful you feel? Let me ask you a dangerous question. What if the problem is not women? What if the problem is the version of masculinity you were taught to perform? Stay with me, because this video is not comfortable, and that's exactly why it works. Before we begin, take 1 second. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to hear can genuinely change how you experience women, attraction, and yourself. Now let's begin. Here is the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Women do not fear confident men. They do not fear kind men. They do not fear respectful men. They fear something else entirely. They fear a man who is emotionally free, not emotionally cold, not emotionally damaged, emotionally independent. Because when a man no longer needs emotional permission, he becomes uncontrollable. And that is the real secret. Most men are raised on a hidden belief. If I understand her enough, she will choose me. If I communicate better, she will stay. If I become emotionally available enough, I will be valued. Stoicism exposes something brutal. Human attachment does not work on fairness. It works on emotional gravity. And gravity is created by inner structure, not by emotional generosity. Here is what almost no man realizes. Every time you try to convince a woman of your value, you silently declare that you do not fully believe in it yourself. And women are far more sensitive to emotional posture than to words. Your tone, your pace, your emotional breathing, your silence, your reactions. They read all of it. This is the first secret women don't want men to truly understand. Attraction is not built through emotional access. It is built through emotional containment. A woman opens when she feels emotionally held, not when she feels emotionally responsible for you. Let me say something very carefully. Many men confuse vulnerability with emotional leakage. Stoicism never taught emotional suppression. It taught emotional mastery. And there is a massive difference. When you emotionally spill your uncertainty, anxiety, longing, and need for validation, you are not creating intimacy. You are creating emotional pressure. Here is the uncomfortable pattern. The man who texts first every time. The man who adjusts his schedule instantly. The man who explains his emotions constantly. The man who overcommunicates his intentions. He is not showing emotional intelligence. He is showing emotional instability, not chaos, but lack of center. And here is why this matters. Women are biologically and psychologically wired to relax around emotional leadership, not emotional performance. Leadership does not mean control. It means emotional consistency. Here is something you probably experienced but never understood. Have you ever noticed how a woman becomes more expressive, more playful, more feminine, more relaxed? When you stop trying to manage the interaction, that is not coincidence. That is relief, because she no longer feels responsible for regulating your emotional state. Stoicism teaches a dangerous freedom. You are responsible for your inner world. No one else. Not your partner. Not your attraction. Not her response. Not her mood. Not her attention. This is the second secret. A woman does not want to be your emotional home. She wants to visit your emotional home. She does not want to build your foundation. She wants to experience the stability of one that already exists. Here's the part nobody warns men about. When you emotionally center yourself, when you stop trying to impress, when you stop trying to secure outcomes, when you stop emotionally leaning into every interaction, you will lose some women. And that is not a failure. That is filtration. A man who needs approval cannot hold polarity. A man who can walk away internally, without resentment, without bitterness, without emotional collapse, becomes extremely rare, and rarity creates attraction. Let's talk about the hidden addiction men develop. Emotional reassurance. You ask questions that are not questions. You say things that are not statements. You give compliments that are not generosity. They are bids. You are quietly checking. Am I still safe? Am I still wanted? Am I still relevant? Stoicism calls this slavery to externals. When your peace depends on another person's reaction, you are not in love. You are in negotiation. This is the third secret. Women are not attracted to men who are emotionally unavailable. They are attracted to men who are emotionally unshakable. Those are not the same thing. An emotionally unavailable man avoids connection. An emotionally grounded man welcomes connection without losing himself inside it. and women feel that difference instantly. Let me show you something practical. The next time a woman becomes distant, cold, busy, confused, unavailable, do not chase clarity. Do not ask for reassurance. Do not send emotional follow-ups. Do not explain your worth. Do not adjust your self-respect. Stay emotionally neutral. Stay warm. Stay present. Stay stable, but stay unreactive. This is not manipulation. This is emotional hygiene. You are protecting your nervous system. Here is why this works psychologically. Uncertainty does not create attraction. Emotional steadiness does. When your emotional temperature remains stable, regardless of her fluctuations, you unconsciously become the regulating force in the interaction, and regulation creates safety. The fourth secret women rarely articulate. They are not attracted to intensity. They are attracted to emotional clarity. Intensity feels exciting. Clarity feels safe. Long-term attraction lives inside safety. Now listen carefully. Stoicism does not make you passive. It makes you precise. It removes emotional noise. It removes reactive behavior. It removes attachment to outcomes. And what remains is presence. Presence is the most underrated masculine trait. You are not rushing. You are not seeking. You are not proving. You are not auditioning. You are simply there, whole. Here is where most men get confused. They believe being emotionally centered means becoming distant, cold, detached, unexpressive. That is not Stoicism. That is emotional avoidance disguised as philosophy. True Stoic masculinity is emotionally open, without emotional dependency, warm, without emotional hunger, engaged, without emotional collapse. Here's the fifth secret. Women do not want to be emotionally chased. They want to be emotionally met. There is a massive difference. Chasing creates hierarchy. Meeting creates polarity. Let me explain polarity simply. When you emotionally rush forward, the other person instinctively leans back. When you emotionally stay centered, the other person is free to lean in. This is not a trick. This is physics. Emotional physics. Here is a quiet realization that will save you years of pain. The more you try to secure a woman emotionally, the less space she has to discover you emotionally. Discovery fuels desire. Security kills curiosity. Now here comes the most uncomfortable truth of this entire video. Many men use emotional availability to compensate for lack of internal direction. No mission, no structure, no personal rhythm, no internal authority. So relationships become the emotional anchor, and anchors are heavy. Stoicism never placed romance at the center of a man's life. It placed character at the center. Discipline, self-command, purpose, clarity, temperance, courage. Here is the sixth secret. When your life is emotionally rich without her, your presence becomes emotionally valuable with her. A woman can feel when she is your emotional oxygen, and oxygen pressure suffocates connection. Let me say something gently but honestly. You do not need to be more interesting. You do not need better lines. You do not need better emotional intelligence. You need better emotional boundaries. With yourself, the boundary is not against her. It is against emotional self-abandonment. The next time you feel the urge to explain, overtext, clarify, fix tension, repair discomfort, smooth emotional friction, pause, ask yourself one question. Am I acting from centeredness or from emotional fear? Fear makes men perform. Centeredness makes men lead. Here's the seventh secret. A woman does not fall in love with your words. She falls in love with how safe she feels inside your emotional consistency. Consistency is not predictability. It is reliability of emotional posture. You can be playful, serious, quiet, intense, calm, but your inner stability does not fluctuate with her behavior. This is what creates emotional gravity. She does not feel pulled. She feels drawn. Now let's talk about rejection, because this is where Stoicism becomes unstoppable. Rejection is not a threat to a centered man. It is simply information. You do not personalize her lack of interest. You do not dramatize it. You do not turn it into self-judgment. You do not turn it into bitterness. You remain internally intact. And here is the paradox. The man who is not afraid to lose the connection is the only man who can truly enjoy it. Here is the eighth secret. When you stop needing her to choose you, you finally give her the emotional freedom to choose you. Freedom creates attraction. Pressure creates withdrawal. Let's go even deeper. Women are constantly emotionally scanning men for one signal. Can this man remain grounded when my emotions shift? Not because women are unstable, but because emotional fluctuation is part of human life. Stress, work, family, hormones, health, history. If you collapse emotionally every time her mood changes, you become emotionally unsafe, not dangerous, unstable. Stability is seductive, not excitement, not charm, not humor, not looks. Stability. Here is the ninth secret. The most attractive thing you can do when a woman becomes emotional is not to fix her, not to analyze her, not to solve her, but to stay regulated yourself. Your calm nervous system becomes her mirror, and that is deeply bonding. This is why emotional silence sometimes feels more powerful than emotional talk, not because silence is mysterious, but because it demonstrates inner control. Let me be very clear. Stoicism is not about hiding your feelings. It is about not being controlled by them. Here is what changes when you truly adopt this mindset. You stop rushing conversations. You stop filling silence. You stop explaining yourself. You stop justifying your boundaries. You stop apologizing for your preferences. You stop softening your truth to avoid emotional discomfort. And something subtle happens. Your voice slows. Your eye contact steadies. Your posture settles. Your presence expands. Women respond to nervous systems, not to resumes, not to achievements, not to bios, not to social status. Those things help, but they are not the driver. Here's the 10th secret. Your emotional state is always louder than your intentions. Now listen carefully. This is not about dominating women. This is not about outsmarting women. This is not about withholding emotions. This is not about power games. This is about becoming psychologically sovereign. Sovereignty means you enjoy connection without needing it. You offer affection without bargaining for it. You give attention without attaching identity to it. You accept loss without emotional collapse. You welcome love without losing structure. That is Stoic masculinity. Quiet, unimpressive on the surface, devastatingly attractive in reality. Let me leave you with one final truth. Women are not hiding this secret from you consciously. They simply respond to it unconsciously, because attraction is not a decision. It is a nervous system response. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this. Intimacy is not created by emotional exposure. It is created by emotional safety, your emotional discipline, your inner order, your calm presence, your self-respect, your non-reactivity, your psychological stability. That is what opens hearts. And if this changed the way you see attraction, if something inside you just clicked, not with excitement, but with clarity, then don't ignore that feeling. Because most men spend years chasing tactics, lines, strategies, psychological tricks. They try to decode women like puzzles instead of understanding themselves like men. But the moment you realize attraction isn't about performance, it's about presence, everything shifts. You stop trying to impress. You stop trying to convince. You stop trying to control outcomes. And you start doing something far more powerful. You stabilize your inner world. You sharpen your emotional control. You develop the kind of grounded certainty that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't crumble when a text goes unanswered. That's what real Stoic strength looks like. Not cold, not distant, but centered. A man who understands this doesn't fear losing someone, because he knows he cannot lose what was never aligned. And that mindset, that calm detachment, it's magnetic. So if today's message shifted your perspective, even slightly, don't let it fade into the noise. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Stay with me as we break down honest psychology and real Stoic principles that actually improve your relationships, not with manipulation, but with mastery. Because the goal isn't to win someone's attention, it's to become the kind of man who doesn't need to fight for it. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.